Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to another of Vendel's weekly arcade quest tutorials. So up this week, we have an interesting little quest that features a broad variety of challenges that made it rather fun in my opinion, as well as a few changes to how the AI usually works and functions in the fights to make things just a bit different. This quest is called the Samurai of Harrowgate, and it seems like it's a little bit of a story about Seijuro, and some of the things that may have occurred with him post the main storyline events of For Honor. So, as some of you remember, I've been trying to work on my Nobushi, and I still suck at the Nobushi. Let's just be honest about that. She is not my best. She's kind of in a rough state right now, but I did go ahead and pull this quest off with the Nobushi. And so you'll see as I go through this, note that there are a lot of unseen deaths this time around, and it did take me a while to get through this fight, this quest, but that's because in a way it was mostly a battle of attrition. Well anyways, let's get into it. And the very first phase that we're starting with is Ranja's Heir. So Ranja, if you remember the main storyline at all, is one of the Kensei from the main storyline. You're going to be fighting a Nobushi and a Shinobi that both respawn, so you need to take them out first, and then an uninterruptible Kensei. You have at your advantage extra hit points on kill, and you're unblockable. This works out to make this fight fairly easy whether you decide to try to kick people off the ledges. Actually, I'm not even sure if there is ledges. I didn't even think about it as I was going through this one. Or not. And that's because with the Nobushi's light mix-up, it's pretty easy to just mess up people with the unblockable. The AI doesn't respond well to it, and for some reason, I don't know if it's just the Nobushi or there was a change that was just kind of hidden, but it seems like enemies are far less likely to just quick parry lights than they used to be. But anyways, quick take out the Nobushi in whatever way you see fit. She's pretty easy to handle. Nobushi's AI, even at level 3, is really one of the least intimidating. Then handle the Shinobi, who can hassle you quite a bit if things, if you're not well prepared for it. But when you finish him out, use some of the small mobs to clean up and gain the health back that you have lost if you need it. And then continue to just barrel into Ranja. Ranja, like I said, is not that hard, especially because he just doesn't even seem to react to your unblockables, and his uninterruptible makes his pose not work out. Also remember, if you do not execute the Shinobi or the Nobushi, that they will come back because of that respawn, so you'll have to kill them a second time. It is doable because, like I said, neither of them are that difficult, and you do have a very easy access to full health regen via the small minions, but even so, it's nice to not have to deal with it for a second round. Phase 2 is Teramori's brother. So this fight is the one that I would call, more than anything else, a battle of attrition. You're going to be fighting two just very tanky opponents, while you can't be thrown, can't be stumbled, and you drain stamina. This works for an interesting mix-up because of how this fight works. It would be really difficult if it wasn't for the fact that you didn't drain stamina, but because you do, this fight's not so bad. It just takes a long bloody time every attempt until you pull it off. So, you have no way to regain hit points. There's these two archers here that I always recommend taking out at the start, because otherwise they'll hassle you. There are meteors, catapults, whatever you want to call them, that come down and stagger the enemies. And this is the interesting fight that I was talking about because they made the AI different. In almost every other team fight with 2 AI, they will always try to gank you if they're both aware of your presence. But for some reason that I don't fully understand, only one of the AIs will fight you at a time. And the switch-up moments are the thing that you need to be really, really aware of. This may be because they don't want to give you revenge so that you can't recuperate like that. I'm not really sure. But anyways, getting back to the switch-up moments. So there's a few things that trigger them to trade which one is attacking. One, if you knock someone on the ground very far away from the other opponent will dash and then engage you. So it's best to try to keep whoever you're fighting close to the other opponent so he doesn't actually try to engage you if you want to handle just one of them at a time. If you want to handle 2 of them at a time, there's no good way to do this unless you're constantly switching targets, because one of them will always end up eventually just backing off. So you cannot maintain the 1 versus 2 for very long. The other moment that changes is if the one you're fighting gets hit by a meteor and he runs afterwards while trying to recover from the meteor strike, and you strike him, his opponent will defend him during that time period, which is kind of peculiar. But anyway, so you have to handle this fight just really slowly. Because they're out of stamina, you can repeatedly throw out and feint guard breaks to get them on the floor, and then just do whatever punish is available. Pay attention to your stamina so that you don't waste too much, because you want to keep it up as much as possible. Because you can't be thrown or stumbled, there'll be a lot of times where they just grab you and then don't do anything, which is of course very, very pleasant. If you do finish off the fight, I recommend if you do get near to finishing one of them, I actually recommend trying to leave one of them alive until you get revenge, just so you can get that revenge to lead into your fight with the other. I personally think that the Aramusha is the much harder opponent, and that's just because some of his opening air attacks are harder to parry once he gets into a flurry, and because of that he can mess you up if he gets lucky. Also, it's not always safe to feint into a guard break. He may just let a heavy fly that'll hit you when you're attempting to do so. But essentially, you just carry on, slowly push your way through this fight. Don't give up on this one, because this one's definitely doable. It just takes a long time. And abuse the fact that you do stamina damage. You abuse that fact, and you'll be able to keep your opponents at bay very easily. So before we get into Phase 3, I want you to know that not all quests are created equal. This is a little bit of a random quest that had some fun glitchiness that I decided I wanted to share with you guys, that I just did a little bit before. You'll notice this fight's supposed to be against an Orochi and a Shugoki. And the Shugoki is spawning and falling through the floor on repeat. I don't know why he's not just dying. It's like his assets getting deleted and then remade. But he doesn't get to participate in the fight at all. Yep, there he goes. Yeah, this game's got its problems. Alright, Phase 3, Seijuro the Traitor. So this fight is, again, not so bad. This is a pairing up against just an Orochi. The Orochi has a distinctive advantage, but you have hit points from attack. However, you have no guard UI, which makes it an issue, but it's still just one guy, so this fight's not going to last too long before you pull it off. And Orochis aren't that tricky to kill, and in fact, the Nobushi has some nice pairings against them because of the ranged attacks on some of their dodges and etc. But anyways, make use of your hit point regen as you can, but do note that this Orochi does seem to parry extremely often. And for having no guard UI, that means if he ever starts his flurry on you, that he can make your life awful. So be aware of that. If he starts to flurry on you, it's best to just try to disengage if you have the stamina for it. If you can provoke him to go into his back dodge prep attack, and then you wait long enough, you can almost always safely get your back away stab, because it gives you extra distance as he begins to poke him in the face. But like said, even if things seem to be going well, one bad flurry and you're going to be taken out. Which is exactly why I wanted to show a death on this one, is because it just happens really fast if you're not being careful. Having no guard UI is never fun. Because of that, a tool that just allows you to full dodge any attacks like JJ's or Nobushi's back dodge, or Aramusha's full block, other full blocks, I think would be really useful here. Therefore, I think those kind of characters are probably the ones you're going to get away with best in this quest. So the final phase brings in a modifier that I haven't seen before in Fujikiyo's Disciple. So this modifier is a better version of respawn. Instead of, only respawning when not executed. Yeah. This one always respawns whether you execute or not, unless both friends are dead. Both friends in this fight gain hit points from attack and drain extra stamina, making them very annoying to deal with. However, when enemy AIs have the ability to drain hit points, they tend to try to sling out attacks more frequently than they should. This is because they heal even if you block the attack a tiny amount, and so they kind of just hope to do things. What this means in terms of your playstyle is you need to really be going for those parries, because otherwise they're going to be healing those minute amounts, and you need to try to take them out as quick as possible. So the recommended pattern here is take out the Kensei first, just because he's the closest before the Nobushi tries to engage. Then attempt to take out the Shinobi, utilizing revenge from the Nobushi, and then finally finishing out the Nobushi so you don't have to repeat kill anyone. The Nobushi also happens to be the easiest to handle, just given the fact that, well, her moveset and AI at level 3 is not the most phenomenal. She slings out zone. It's just not that great. But anyways, this fight's difficult. This is definitely the most difficult phase of the quest. But again, if you hold to it, you keep going at it in the pattern I just showed you, it is definitely beatable. Really, go for the Kensei first, then the Shinobi, then the Nobushi. If you want to, you can attempt to do the Shinobi first, but you can sometimes attract some unwanted attention. And I find the Shinobi is a serious hassle to deal with because of their massive health regen, unless you have revenge to do that extra damage and take him out quickly. Because without the revenge, it's just not fun to deal with him. He'll get hits off and then regen to full health. Also, don't be afraid to just quit out, reset the chapter at least, if one of them heals back to full health. There's countless times I was fighting the Kensei and I'd get off like 6 hits and then he'd hit me twice and be back at full health, and I'd be like, okay, let's just restart. This is obviously stupid. And your health pool is, of course, you have no way of regenning it in this fight. Therefore, it's a finite resource. So restarting is not such a bad option. So that about ends it for everything I wanted to talk about tutorial-wise for this quest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing me finally use the Nobushi. I'm sorry I kind of suck with her. I don't really know how to use her hidden stance right, especially to the delete enemy combos. I find that in PvP and arcade mode I tend to dodge lights and then still get hit by the follow-up light instead of reacting however I should. So I struggle with it. But you know, it's something I'll get better at. I do like the Nobushi, and I'm looking forward to someday when they actually buff her, because she does need it, especially compared to all the new characters nowadays. But you know, it's just what it is. So, well, remember that modifiers always modify your playstyle. Hope you guys have a good week and a wonderful Valentine's Day. If you don't have someone special out there, still have some fun tonight, play some games, you know, enjoy that aspect of your life. If you do have someone special tonight, have a good time. And remember to make them feel special, because this is kind of an important day in that way. Anyways, I'll say it once again, because especially in this quest, there's some changes to how you've got to react to things when you have uninterruptibles or unblockables or the enemies respond, that modifiers modify your playstyle. With that, Vendel out. Have a good week.